There's going to be a lot of heartbreak in this video, but I know that if there's anyone in the world that can understand it, it's you guys. So here we go. These are the ones that got away. These are the handbags that I wasn't able to acquire for one reason or another, but I still think about. Starting with the Sunset Rainbow Sequin Fendi Baguette. Honestly, I am still so angry at myself that I didn't get it, that I can't even look at that bag. And if I see someone else with it, I feel a regret. Let's call it a regret. I am a huge fan of Fendi baguettes in general. I have 3 Fendi baguettes, and in my opinion, that's a lot of the same bag to have. However, all 3 of them are the new version of the Fendi baguette. So it comes with 2 straps, with the top handle strap and also with a crossbody strap. And it's also a little bit wider than the original 1997 Fendi Baguette. And this bag was a re-edition of the OG 1997 Fendi Baguette, which is why I wanted it even more. But here's the thing, that year Fendi released a crazy amount of beautiful handbags, especially Fendi baguettes. And it was also the year that I finally managed to get my hands on the purple sequin Fendi baguette, which was at the top of my wish list for years and years and years. And it was also the year that Fendi celebrated 25 years of the Fendi baguette. And they even had like a whole runway show that was devoted to the Fendi baguettes. And on top of all of that, during that runway show, they revealed the collaboration with Tiffany's, the Fendi and Tiffany's baguettes. And I am not typically a huge fan of collaborations, especially between 2 completely different luxury houses. But this one, I still believe that it's one of the most beautiful, if not the most beautiful and perfectly executed collaborations ever. So I knew that I'm gonna try to get the Fendi and Tiffany's collaboration baguette. So I simply couldn't justify buying 3 Fendi baguettes, from which 2 are sequin baguettes, in the span of what? 6 months. And I also kind of assumed that based on the success of this bag, because this bag, it sold out quick. So I always kind of assume when something is that successful, they are going to release it again, because that's what normally happens, especially with handbags. They release it in different colors. They tweak the design a little bit, like maybe make the sequins a little bit different or change the colors of the sequins, kind of release the same bag but slightly different, so that it's not exactly the same, but so that it would have the same success as the bag that was successful. But here we are 2 years later, and they haven't released anything similar to that bag, not even in the same category, nothing with sequins. So I am living in regret. But you know what? I am still hopeful, because it is one of the most iconic luxury designer handbags ever. So I'm really hopeful that one day Fendi will release a Fendi 1997 re-edition baguette, which I am going to love as much as I did this one. On the topic of Fendi baguettes, there is one more that I would like to include on this list. Now, I promise that this is going to be the last one, and this list is not just going to be a list of Fendi baguettes that I regret not getting, even though I could make a list like that as well. But anyway, the bag I'm talking about is the metallic turquoise shearling Fendi baguette from the Fendi baguette anniversary, 25-year anniversary runway show. And this is another one that is very hard for me to look at, because it is so beautiful. And I know it's seasonal, but it's just giving these like ice queen goddess vibes. And yeah, I just didn't get it, because once again, I couldn't justify buying that many baguettes in such a short amount of time. But I do think about it quite often. I don't know how the shearling would have worn. I had a lot of concerns also about the metallic leather, but when I look at it, it's giving me butterflies, and I think it's just an absolutely beautiful bag. Now, moving away from Fendi and onto Chanel, and this is a bag that you may have noticed in one of my earlier Chanel vlogs, and it's a Chanel 19 bag in the most beautiful dove gray color. To this day, this is my absolute favorite Chanel 19 bag that I have ever seen. It is the most perfect shade of gray, of light gray. And I also loved the contrasting gold hardware on the CCs and of course the mixed metals on the chain. The only reason why I didn't get that bag was because at the time I was prioritizing buying a Chanel Classic Flap. And they didn't have it that day. I had to put my name down on a wish list and everything. And it's not like I even asked for a very unique color combination. I just wanted a small black and gold Chanel Classic Flap in caviar leather, but still they didn't have it because at the time there was this whole frenzy around Chanel Classic Flaps. It was very much in demand, and also the prices kept going higher and higher, and I had to make a choice. So I chose to wait for the Chanel Classic Flap. But then I got home and I realized that I really liked the Chanel 19. I could not stop thinking about that bag for days. So eventually, I finally messaged my SA and she told me that there is only one bag available at the boutique. I couldn't believe my luck, so I ran to the store, but it turned out that it had a scuff mark. And even though they tried to buff it out, it was permanently damaged. So I ended up buying the Chanel Classic Flap, which I am very happy about because it was like this huge weight was lifted from my shoulders, especially because of all the price increases that are still happening. So I'm very happy that I have my Chanel Classic Flap that I have. But at the same time, I do sometimes think about this bag because it was just very beautiful. And I think it would have been so perfect for fall winter seasons, especially here in Spain because we don't have a lot of rain. And then with like cozy knitwear, I think it would have been so cute, such a moment. But is what it is. And now moving on to more Chanel, the 2021 Pre-Spring Summer Collection rectangular mini bag in the most beautiful shimmery gold leather. Now this one is probably the most painful one on this list because unlike the other bags, I didn't even get a shot at buying this bag. Like it's sold out immediately. My SA at the time managed to get me a wallet on chain in the same leather, which I was very grateful for, but it wasn't the same. Unfortunately, they haven't made anything similar to this bag ever since then. And as a matter of fact, the first time when I saw leather that was like even just a little bit similar to that leather was the last cruise collection. They had the Funky Town bag in also a shimmery gold leather, but as much as I love the Funky Town bag, I have it in pink. I do actually really like the style of it, but the gold on gold, it was a little bit too much. I would still love it in a mini, like, or a mini rectangular with a top handle. That would be absolute perfection. So Chanel, I hope you hear me. Please make this leather again. And now another one that broke my heart is the Celine Triumph bag with chain and in raffia. I literally could not make up a more beautiful summer bag. It's small and feminine, yet it has a little bit of an edge with the chain. Now this is another one that I didn't even get a shot at buying because my local boutique only received two. Yes, exactly two of these bags. And they were sold out on the same day. Online, I didn't even see this bag because the Celine website, I don't know if you have noticed the same, but when something is sold out on the Celine website, you can't even find it on the website. For me to find out the price of that bag, I had to find it through Google Images. If they ever release that bag again, I will probably cry happy tears if, of course, I manage to get it. And I know that it may sound a little bit dramatic and even slightly obsessive, but I mean, it's just that pretty. Moving on to another bag from Chanel, and it's the Chanel a Vintage Classic Flap with the XL logo. And it's kind of the classic flap from the 80s. I mean, there's not really much to say here, right? Because it's vintage Chanel quality leather, 24 karat gold plated hardware, and it is my absolute favorite vintage Chanel handbag ever. And I had found one back in 2019 in a nearly perfect condition. It had barely any wear and tear, and I decided not to get it because of the price. And now wait for it. It was 2,500 euros. I know. a moment of silence for that price, because we will never see this bag in that condition at that price point ever again. So you can see why this one is extra painful. But at the time, I felt quite uncomfortable spending more than 2,000 euros on a luxury designer handbag. So for me, it would have been a huge thing to buy it. And as a matter of fact, it still is a huge thing to buy such an expensive handbag, which is why I am as picky with my bags as I am. And of course, even though it was and still is one of my dream handbags, I had to consider the fact that it's a vintage handbag. And I know that it has superior quality, but at the same time, it's a bag that had been used for more than 30 years. I know the quality is greater, but you don't know what's been in that bag, where it's been, who has used it, how it has been used. So there's that uncertainty, and addition to the price, I just really didn't feel comfortable spending that much money on it. So in the end, I didn't get it, and it was literally the last time that I saw that bag in that condition for that price. Right now, on the pre-loved market, it most likely costs double than that. So I definitely regret not buying it, but at the same time, recently Chanel has been bringing back their vintage bags. So now we saw the vintage Kelly, and we also saw the Chanel suitcase on the last, I believe it was fall winter runway. So maybe eventually they will also bring back this one. And finally, at number 7, I have a Lady Dior in this like slightly iridescent silver leather. So I already have 2 silver bags in my collection, and one of them is in sequins and the other one is in crystals. So I don't really have a silver leather handbag yet. And what I realized is that I really love silver. I always thought that I was more of a gold girl, but when I bought these bags and started using them, I realized that I really enjoy silver accessories. And so it was almost like Dior read my mind, because the Lady Dior in that silver leather was absolute perfection. But the problem was that when they released that bag, around the same time, they also re-released the Lady Delight in the blue reverse Tol de Jour print, which is a bag that I had missed out on, I think now like 3 years ago. And so I had to make a choice. And I went with the Lady Delight, which I do not regret at all, because I love my Lady Delight. But at the same time, I do catch myself thinking about that silver lady, and all I can hope for is that they are going to release it once again, because it was so beautiful. Okay guys, well, thank you so much for listening to my handbag heartbreak stories. Please let me know which bags broke your heart in the comment section below, and I hope I'll see you in my next video. Stay safe, everyone.